Hello everyone, so as you guys know that TryHackMe has recently released its module called OWASP Top 10 2025 in which they have three rooms. So today we are going to do the second room, which is the application design flaws. So I'm not going to explain the complete room, I'm just directly going to answer the questions present in this room. So first of all, what we have to do is to start our machine, and once we have our machine ready, the second thing we have to do is to start our VPN, which I have done here. So the first room is just basically the introduction. You do not have to answer anything here. Starting from the task number 2, which is the security misconfigurations. So as you guys know, there are a lot of security misconfigurations. Some of them are mentioned here. But what is demanded in the task is a specific type of security misconfiguration called verbose error. Verbose error means basically a detailed error, which is normally for the developers to debug the application. You do not mention the detailed error to directly in the production or directly to the client, because your client might be a hacker and he can get an extra information about the system which can help him to hack the application further. So the task basically asks us to navigate to this IP address with a specific port, which we are going to do here. So here you can see it is basically a user management API interface. They're letting us know about a path called API user, and there is a numeric digit which refers to a specific user. So if we open that path in our browser, you see it tells us information about a specific user called John, and it has a specific ID. So what if we try 1234? Again, we are getting the same user. So basically it's a dummy user. They are returning the same user against each numeric ID. So here the problem is that it looks like the application is expecting a numeric digit. So what if we put anything other than a numeric digit? So let's say an alphabet character, or let's say a special character. So if you put anything other than a numeric digit, what you can see is that you get a flag and you get a very detailed error. So here, because it's a CTF type challenge, you are directly getting a flag. In real life, you may get some environment variables, you may get some backend IPs, you may get some information about the path from where the application is being running. So these are the sort of things which you get in real life, and it is a really big problem. So that's how you can solve your task number 1. So now coming to the task number 3, software supply chain failures, and there's a bit of introduction about this vulnerability and about this problem. And all of those guys who were in the industry in 2021 when the SolarWinds came up, it was a big mess for all of the people. So now coming straight to the challenge, they're asking us to navigate to this IP address with a specific port, which we are going to do here. So again, we have some Swagger type of file in which they are telling us about some paths to navigate. For example, let's say open API health, and we know it's a GET request, so it is going to answer us something. It is just telling us the status that the application is healthy and the version of the application, nothing too specific here. Here there's another path called API process, and it is basically a post request. So if we are going to put directly here, it's not going to work, because definitely this is going to be a GET method and the API specifically requires post method. And it is also telling us that this post method accept a parameter, basically it's called a data. The data parameter, and the data parameter will contain some fields. Now if you see, we have also got some task files for this task. So when we download that task file, we came to know that it is basically a Python code. And in that Python code, there is a specific area which grabs your attention. Again, you remember it is the same API path, API process, and we know that it accepts only post request. So here, what they are mentioning is that if you mention the parameter data with the value debug in the post request, what will happen? You will get debug underscore info. So this basically is showing that debug info, basically the application is going to throw some backend detailed information to you, which might contain some environment variables and might contain some other sensitive information, and in our case it should contain the flag. So this is basically the curl request which you need to send. You can prepare this request from ChatGPT. If you know a bit about curl, you can prepare this curl request very easily by yourself. So again, it's a post request. We have mentioned the complete API path. We have mentioned our header as a JSON. And again, in the data parameter, we have a parameter called data and we have made its value debug. So as soon as you are going to hit this request, what will happen is that you are going to get your flag. So here the vulnerability is that the developer has included some unchecked Python files, and the vulnerability is that this Python file leaks the backend debug information to the attacker. So that was our task number 3. Now coming to the task number 4, cryptographic failures. So again, a bunch of information about that. And coming to directly to the challenge, it is asking us to again navigate to same IP address with a different port address. So which we are going to do here. So here you can see is that there's an encrypted document, and basically the task is to decrypt that document and get the flag. This encrypted document contains our flag. So what we can do is that if we go to view page source, you're going to see a decrypt.js, which seems like a file which can help us in decrypting that encrypted document. So after basically reading that file and after looking at this encrypted document, you get an idea that it is, for now it is base 64 encoded, and it might be an AES encryption, because from it you can get an idea that it is base 64 because it has some alphabets, it has numerics plus /, and there is no, let's say, illegal character. So it is a strong indication that this is basically a base 64. And if you come to this decrypt.js, these three things are basically mostly used in the AES encryption and decryption. What we have is a secret key. This secret key is going to encrypt your secret text. We have encryption mode and we have key size. So these three things can basically help us to decrypt our encrypted document. So what I've done is that without putting too much pressure on my mind, I've simply ChatGPT it. And ChatGPT has given me this decrypt.py. You can prepare this file yourself very easily. There's nothing much going here. What you are doing is that you are initializing your key. You are putting your ciphertext here, which you want to decrypt. First, you base 64 decode that ciphertext, and once it is base 64 decoded, then you basically AES decrypt it, and this is going to return you your flag. So you can copy that flag and you can put that flag here. So that's how you solve your task number 4. Now coming to the final task of this room, which is the insecure design. So again, what they're asking us to do is to follow this specific IP address, which we are going to do here. So here the thing is that basically what we are supposed to do is directory busting, dir busting. Unfortunately, at this point, your tools does not work. The Pharos Buster, GoBuster, or whatever tool you use, the tools basically fail here. So what you were supposed to do here is to basically analyze the whole application and guess the possible endpoints. So what my method was here is that we know that there's a path called API, in which we have known that there's a further path called health, the process, and then we have seen a path user as well. So we can guess that the first path is API. So we can put /API. And then you can see it says access your private messages. So one can assume that maybe we have to put the word messages here. So as soon as you hit that endpoint, still it says not found 404. But the key point here is that you have to put some username here as well. So when you put the word user, it says user not found. So if you put the word John, let's say it says user not found. But eventually when you try the word admin, it is going to tell you the information about the admin. So here you can see your flag as well. So that was the endpoint basically which you were supposed to guess. So that is how basically you solve this room, which is basically regarding the OWASP top 10 application design flaw, and its actual name is owasptopten2025two. Now I know I've gone through this room very quickly, but still if you have any questions, any confusions, please do let me know in the comments. I'll be happy to help you out. Thank you.